Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordy and Glory video. Today guys, we are going to be taking a look at the Warhammer community article that talks all about the new Cadia Stands box set, and we're going to be taking a look at the new rules that GW has previewed for the upcoming Guard Codex. We're going to take a look at these rules and see if they confirm any of the information in the leaked Codex and if there's anything totally new that previously we had no idea about. So without further ado, let's crack on with today's video. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the Cadian shock troops and what rules GW has revealed for these lads and lasses. Now, the first thing to say is they have confirmed that they cannot take heavy weapon teams. This is something that they mentioned in the original live stream when they were revealing the Cadia Stands box set, and now they have confirmed it in writing. However, it's not a loss because overall, they can actually take an additional special weapon, which means that these guys will have no las cannons, heavy bolters, missile launchers, but they will have an extra plasma gun, an extra melter gun, an extra flame, an extra grenade launcher. Little interesting side note here, no snipers for Cadians. No snipers because it's a heavy weapon. And again, they confirmed that in the original live stream for these guys. Overall, this might seem like a side grade, but in my opinion, it is an upgrade. Being able to take two special weapons means that your infantry is going to be much more mobile. 40k games are won and lost in the movement phase. That is just a simple fact, all right? If you're not playing in the movement phase, you're not playing to win. So being able to have units that are much more mobile and retain the same amount of firepower, if not more firepower, is absolutely fantastic. Think about this for a second, guys. Being able to run around with double plasma. You know, it's much more effective to be able to take double plasma than to take a single plasma and like a heavy bolter or a las cannon, right? You're going to be much more mobile. You're going to have much more firepower. It's going to have much more AP, much more consistent damage. Overall, it's just a big upgrade. If we are allowed to take Cadian shock troops with two of the same special weapon, which according to the leaked codex we are, then I think double plasma shock troops are going to become an absolute staple. Bear in mind, guys, that you can combine these guys with other rules that we've seen and had confirmed by GW, which is the Cadian Castellan. What does he do? 6-inch aura to reroll to hit, guys. Oh, suddenly taking double plasma and everything isn't such a death sentence. You can be overcharging for days and having those rerolls to hit for days. So overall, being able to take two special weapons is not a side grade, it is a downright upgrade. Now, this is all information that we already knew about, but here is something that GW has confirmed, which is something that we knew about out in the lead codex, but GW hasn't mentioned it up until now, which is the shock troops rule for your Cadian shock troops. This means that each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack with a las gun or las pistol, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. That is right. You have got exploding 6s on your las guns and las pistols. Now, this is also really quite a nice little upgrade to have, but the big thing about, you know, if your extra las gun shots is great, we're going to have to see how it interacts with Hammer of the Emperor. Will they get the Votan treatment where they're 6s to hit, auto wound, and they get the benefits of auto wounding, blah, blah, blah. You know, is that, are they getting the Votan treatment, or is it going to be like the current system where if you have Hammer of the Emperor and you get a 6 to hit, the original hit auto wounds, but the second like exploding hit that you got, technically you didn't roll a dice roll for that, so you've still got to roll a wound dice for that. We don't know how it's going to work, but it's great to see that las guns are getting a little bit of a boost. If we can get Hammer of the Emperor and we can retain these exploding 6s, that's going to be really nice. So this is a great little rule, and it's fantastic that GW has confirmed this rule in this article, because guess what? This confirms one of the leaks that I've been talking about for a long time. And so every single article that GW has released so far has confirmed the leak's accuracy 100%. There's nothing that's been off. Sometimes there's been stuff that's not been included, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But so far, everything that I've talked about in the lead codex has been confirmed bit by bit by GW. We're on 100% success rate. Let's keep our fingers crossed, guys, and we hope that that continues to be the case, because what it allows us to do is allows us to start planning for when the actual codex releases, because we know the rules already, because we've had a chance to look at them and absorb them about a month in advance at this point. Now, if you haven't seen my leak videos, then go and check them out. I'm going to have one of them linked at the end of this video, but I have been doing dozens of leak videos covering all of the different things and analyzing their performance on the tabletop over the last 2 weeks. So seriously, go and check them out. If you want to basically look at the Guard Codex before it's even released, I've got you covered. So go and check those videos out on my channel. However, not everything that I've got in my leaked codex apparently is going to be in the final version, because GW have just revealed that Vengeance for Cadia is going to make a return. Now, I can tell you guys, this wasn't in my leaked codex. This is something that GW has added in since playtesting, right? Now, what's really interesting is that we already had Vengeance for Cadia, and it was an absolutely fantastic stratagem. It basically meant that when you were playing against Chaos, you had a massive advantage. For 1 CP, you could give 1 unit in your army. It could be any unit. It could be a goddamn Baneblade, right? And you spent 1 CP on that thing, and it got 4 rerolls to hit, 4 rerolls to wound against an enemy Chaos unit. They've brought it back. It still costs 1 CP, but in my opinion, it's terrible now. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's going to be worth it. They definitely toned it down. Now, what's interesting is I thought they were just going to get rid of it entirely. So it's nice the fact that we've still got it. So in a funny sort of way, we're winning. It's on a plus because I thought they just got rid of it. But overall, it's a much less good version than what we've currently got. Now, it's 1 CP. You've got to do it on a unit, a Cadian unit from your army. Now, bear in mind, Cadian units are like shock troops, Creed, and the Cadian command squad, and that's it, because we've got no fixed Cadian units anymore, Cadian regiment traits anymore. So it's not like you can make a Baneblade Cadian. That doesn't work like that anymore. Everyone's got custom traits. So there are a few units that have got the Cadian keyword, but not many. Oh, Kazakin as well. So basically, use a stratagem in your shooting phase or fight phase when a Cadian unit from your army or a platoon unit from your army that is itself within 6 inches of a friendly Cadian officer unit is selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes attack against a Chaos unit, add 1 to that attack's wound rolls. So it's still pretty good. Getting a +1 to hit buff is still very nice, but there's too many conditions in my mind. Firstly, you've got to be Cadian or platoon. So straight away, this is basically going to affect like your infantry units and your Rough Riders. Now, it might be very nice on Rough Riders, but you've got to be within 6 inches of a friendly Cadian officer as well. So the thing is, by not being able to put it on things like Leman Russes and Baneblades, whatever, it's really like whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like so. Oh, great, my Cadian shock troops will get +1 to wound. I mean, it's not bad. It's 1 CP. But realistically, if you're going to have it only for Cadian units, and realistically, you're going to have it either or only for platoon units, and those platoon units are going to be really limited. And then on top of all that, you've got to have it on, you know, a unit that's within range of an officer. I would have liked to see this just be +1 to wound in general, not against Chaos. I think they've over-nerfed it. I think the problem is GW's done a great job of like removing stratagems that are really good against specific factions. They've done that for a lot of codexes because they've realized that it basically just turbo fucks those people that it's being used against, but then it's so situational that a lot of the time it's not really that great. So I think, you know, they realized that it was either feel bad seeds or just useless. And what they've done is they've like, well, we want to keep it in because we like it, but we're going to make it so it's not going to be just, you know, turbo kill the enemy Chaos guys, because it did used to make a huge difference against Chaos. But I think they've gone too far. Overall, for me, I think they should have kept it as either just you can put it on any unit and you get +1 to wound, fine. It's still nowhere near as strong as it was. Or they should have said, look, you can only do it on your platoon units or Cadian units that are within range of officers, but you can do it on anyone. Like everyone, Cadia stands has just become this thing that people say. It's 200 years later. People probably aren't even aware. You know, a lot of people aren't even aware what Cadia even was, but people know that you say it when you're going to go and to fight people. I think that's what they should have done. So for me, this is nice, but it's just 1 unit. It's not an aura buff or anything. That's how I interpret it anyway. Let me know if I'm wrong down in the comment section. But I think they've overcompensated for it. So you know, Vengeance for Cadia is still around, but it's nowhere near as good as it once was. But hey, it's still around, so you know, at least it's still in the Codex. But now let's move on to something that is also very cool and new and confirms many of the leaks. We have got the weapon stats for the Field Ordnance Battery. This is massive. This confirms many of the new Codex leaks that I've been talking about for a long time. Again, we have got a 100% success rate. Everything that I've talked about so far that GW has then confirmed later has been 100% on the ball. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the heavy lascan. Now this is important. I'm starting this one for a reason. It's got a 48-inch range. It's heavy 2. It's strength 10. It's AP -4 and it's damage D3 +3. Now this is massive because I was aware of 2 different profiles floating around for the heavy las cannon, because I'd seen one that was in like that was in one version, and I've seen one that was in another version of the playtester books that have been going around. Now, what I can say is that it looks like GW have gone for the toned down version, because one version that I saw for this thing, it was like heavy one, it was only one shot, but it was like strength 14, it like ignored invuns, it was insane. Apparently that was not the version they went with in the end. Apparently the one they went with in the end was the sort of second version that I saw, which was, it's a 48-inch range, it's heavy 2, it's strength 10, it's A+4, and it's D3 plus 3 damage. This is a great gun, and for this sort of way, I think I prefer this one because it's got more than one shot. Bear in mind, you can order these things, so you can order them to hit on like 3s. So that's pretty cool. So being able to get 2 shots hitting on 3s, strength 10, A-4, D3 plus 3, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I quite like it. The one problem I have is that these field launch batteries aren't that durable. You know, they're only like toughness 4 with like 6 wounds and a 4-up save, from what I am aware of anyway. GW hasn't confirmed this yet, but you know, like I said, I've been 100% accurate so far, so I think we can safely assume that that profile was right. So what my problem with these is that they're gonna like move around and struggle to hit things, because they'll be like -1 to hit because they're like a heavy weapon, and then it's like, okay, they're only going to get 1 blast off, and then they're relatively fragile. And the points that I've got for these guys is it might be as high as 70 points for just one of these guns. So I'm thinking, you know, you compare this to like an Admech Chicken Walker, and yeah, they've basically got like the same gun. Basically, this one's there's a similar amount of damage. It might have a slightly better strength and AP, but they're a glass cannon. They're a glass heavy las cannon, I should say. So I do like the heavy las cannon, but it's definitely, I think it's going to be a little bit fragile. Moving on, we've got the Malleus rocket launcher. This is heavy D6 plus 6. It's strength 6, A+1, 1 damage. Now, what's really interesting about this, guys, this was confirmed. This was in the leaked copy that I had. They're not in direct fire. Look, they're not in direct. They've just got the blast keyword. Despite the fact that they obviously are indirect fire, GW has not given these things the indirect fire keyword. Now, before any of you go, oh, maybe they've not shown off the full data slate, let me move on to the Bombast Field Gun, which says, blast. This weapon could target that are not visible to the bearer. So this confirms that the Mini Basilisk is indirect fire, but the Malleus rocket launcher is not. To me, that is a big failure by GW. Big mistake. This thing needs indirect fire. It needs it. It naturally feels like it should have it. By not having it, it feels unnatural. By not having it, you're making this unit just not worth taking. Every single person that I know after seeing these stats is saying Bombast Field Gun or death. That's as simple as it is. And that's not because like they're going to die, because if you don't take the Bombast Field Gun, you're going to die, because you're going to be having to do actual line of sight. And these things aren't that durable. So for me, the Bombast Field Gun is going to be the clear winner. And speaking of the Bombast Field Gun, it's heavy D6. So yeah, it's got a huge variance. Yeah, sure. But it's strength 7. It's A+2. It's flat 2 damage. All of those things are really, really good. And it just means that A+2 means that even into things like contempt, it's going to hurt. Okay, strength 7 means it's going to be able to wound any infantry in the game on 3s, if not better. Flat damage 2 means unless it's Death Guard or something else that reduces damage, it's going to be tearing chunks out of people. It's going to be killing intercessor equivalents left, right, and center. The one problem you've got is the fact that it's only heavy D6. That's the one thing. It's kind of swingy. So I'm really hyped about the heavy ordnance field batteries, and I'm really hyped about the Bombast Field Gun. But the thing is, I feel like all of these units have kind of got a bit of an Achilles heel. Maybe they're just balanced, but everyone knows if it's balanced in 40k, it's dog shit. Like, that's just the rules, right? So I like the Bombast Field Gun. I like the profile. I like the fact it's indirect fire. But the fact it's only heavy D6 means it's super swingy. Come over to the heavy las cannon. I like the fact that it's got a 2 shots. That's nice. I like the strength. I like the AP. I like the damage. But the problem is you've got to fire it directly. So and the problem is that if you move it around, it's only got 2 shots. So it's going to struggle. So you're going to have to deploy it out in the open and then give it the take aim order to make it hit on 3s. And that's really where you make it really worth it. But if you don't go first, your opponent's just going to pick him up and kill it. Now, you could maybe mitigate that with the redeploy warlord trait, but then again, you're going to have to move it, so then it's only hitting on 4s take aim. I don't know. It's a direct fire weapon on a particularly fragile platform. It does the damage, but it's a glass hammer. And then you go with the Manus rocket launcher, like, okay, this thing does lots of shots. It's very consistent. It's got a good anti-chaff profile, but it's direct fire. It's direct fire. So a massive Achilles heel. You know, it's if you're going to take a direct fire weapon, you might as well take the big chungus than the many smaller chunguses. So for me, they're all cool. They've all got decent profiles, but they've all got one thing lacking. That kind of makes me go, oh, you know, that's kind of what I'm doing with these things. I still think that the one you're going to end up taking is going to be that Bombast field gun. Yeah, it's going to be swingy, but at least it's going to be around every single turn. So if it gets a 1 on the first time it fires, maybe next time it shoots, it's going to get like a 6, that number of shots. So at least it's got chance to redeem itself. Whereas the heavy las cannon and the Manus rocket launcher, I think, are going to get 1 pop, and then they're going to get popped. Now, the last thing to talk about is the new Sentinel, and this thing is a beast, and the best bit is it matches up with that leaked profile. So as I said in my leaked Codex, the movement is going up to 12 inches. That is massive. These guys are going to be sprinting all over the place. Absolutely massive. They've got the same weapon skill, blitz skill 4, fine. They've got an extra strength. They've got an extra toughness. Even the scout versions are now toughness 6, which is massive. They've got an extra wound. They've got an extra attack. Same leadership, same armor save. But, you know, there you go. These scout sentinels, I personally think, are going to be top tier. From what I understand, they're not going to have a scout move anymore. They're going to have a forward deploy, which means that if you took 3 units of scout sentinels and you loaded them up with heavy flamers and sentinel chainswords, then what you could do is you could forward deploy all 3 units. And then if you get turn 1, you can just bum rush into the enemy. You can just start, if you're playing someone like Tau, you're just tying up all of their stuff, you're screening, you're killing all their screens, you're having a great time. And if you don't get turn 1, you just use that redeploy warlord trait, boom, you bring them back, no harm, no foul. So overall, I think Scout Sentinels are going to be really, really strong. I have been told that those people that know about how good Sentinels are going to be have been hoovering them up. So if I think that Scout Sentinels and Sentinels in general are going to be A tier in the new Codex, and I've heard some rumors around the water cooler that a lot of people in the know have been hoovering them up. So, you know, if you want to get on that gravy train, you might want to start taking a look at some of the Scout Sentinels. Now, you can still use the old models as well, guys, so maybe now's the time to pick them up. But overall, the new Scout Sentinel profile is doing really, really well, and I think that we're going to see a lot of Sentinels in the Guard future. Now, the last thing to mention is GW has confirmed that they've only just caressed the surface of the new book, and tomorrow they're going to be taking a look at how regiments function, which is really, really nice. They have talked a little bit about how regiments are going to function, how you can take multiple different regiments and mash them together and just give them an overall combined custom regiment trait. Now, maybe that's how they're going to confirm it. Fingers crossed, they're also going to confirm platoon rules, but we don't know that. We just don't know that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do talk about in tomorrow's article. But that's all we've got time for today. If you have enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a like and also subscribe to make sure that you never miss an episode. If you've really enjoyed today's video and you want to support the channel, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. One of the big benefits you get for being a channel member and Patreon supporter is you gain access to the Mordian Glory Discord, and in there I have been talking about loads of leaked information, and also people have been able to ask me more specific questions and I can get back to them confirming things. So if that sounds like something you want to be able to do, get ahead of the curve, start planning out your guard armies for the future, then make sure you get yourself into that Discord by becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. And I just want to take a moment now to say a big thank you to our latest channel members. So thank you to Nick Schaefer, Mark T, Matthew K, Zidok, Cedar Tortoise, BSSP Wolfen, Adam, Isivia, Lewis Cleveland, Lucas, James, Matt Small, It's For My Army, David Ewing, Travis McHenry, Mike W, Matt Triplet, Donny Rose, and 2310 Luke. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. Thank you guys for doing your part. I also want to say a shout out and a special thank you to all of the new Patreon supporters as well. So big thank you to Odd Simon. Mate, you're not odd to me. You're great because you sign up to the Patreon. Big thank you to Ben Carl, Yiko, Eric H, Lewis Cleveland, Hassan, Andrew, Anthony, Robert, Fool's Fate, Owen Thompson, and Malice in Wonderland. Thank you guys for doing your bit. Thank you for your ongoing Patreon support. I also want to take a moment and say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreon supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a massive thank you to Bonbon Vert, Navy Veteran, Philip French, Ross Miller, Taqual, John Stubbs, Nicholas Walsh, Swordfish Trombone, Diesel Fox, Tom Sutton, and of course, August Varney. Thank you guys for your very generous and amazing Patreon support. It really does make a huge, huge difference. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.